If you're watching this, you probably just started university. Or maybe you're a student who'd not only like to succeed academically, but also make the most of their academic career, get the best grades possible, enjoy their social life, and have a lot of fun in the process. Here's what I would do differently if I could go back in time and relive my university experience completely. And I hope that by sharing my experience, I'll help you make the most of your own college experience and have a blast during your next few years at university. Hi guys, this is Sammy from Samotivation, and let me show you what I would do differently. Let's start with the very first thing, which is pick a major that you actually enjoy doing. Not under the pressure of your parents or your academic advisor or your friends, but something that you genuinely enjoy studying. When I was in university, I started my first 2 years there studying international economics. Not because it's something I found super interesting or because I enjoyed it so much, but because my parents told me, compared to international politics, international economics has far more career opportunities and you'll be able to find a job more easily. Which wasn't actually the case, I realized once I graduated. But one thing I did while at university during my second year is I noticed that I got far better grades in the political classes than I did in my economics classes. And I decided to switch my major halfway through, and I'm so glad I did. 6-7 years later turned out to be one of the best decisions that I've ever made. The second thing that I would do differently is realizing that other people are not actually smarter than me. And this is something I used to struggle with so much because I came from a really bad school where my classmates would go gambling and drinking in the bars around the school while I would show up to class, only to be sent home by the teacher who would tell me, "Sammy, according to the rule book, there has to be at least 3 people in class, so you're free to go." So I spent the last 2 years of my life studying in this way, not really learning much, and I wasn't really academically prepared. And when I went to my university, there were people coming from private schools, much better schools than my own, from all over the world, who actually knew what they were doing in class, who knew how to do citations, I didn't know how to do that at the time, who knew how to write assignments, I didn't know how to do any of that, and how to study. And we're talking some of the most competitive people from academic institutions all over the world. And then I come around with my 2 year, I wouldn't even call it like high school experience during my last 2 years, more like just trying to survive and fit in. And in the meantime, also learning how to study for my SATs, how to apply for universities, everything that I had to do on my own because I never really got the support I needed, neither when it came to applying for universities, nor for my studies while I was at school. So naturally, this created a lot of self-doubt in me, especially in my first year. And the fact that I failed 3 courses during my first year didn't really help my self-confidence or help my case. But here's the thing. After I came back from my suspension, yes, I was suspended after failing 3 classes, I was one of the top students at the university. Not because I was smarter than other people, but because I learned that there's a system that I could work and figure out how to do it and study more efficiently. And in fact, I actually got much higher grades than people who would spend countless hours studying, far more than I did. And this brings us to the very next point, which is study smarter, not harder. I knew people in my class were far better students than I was. They'd spend far more time studying. In fact, they'd spend their weekends in the library while I was also studying, only I would actually spend my time studying only during the weekend, and they would study the entire week. I recall one particular incident. We just come out of our history class, and there was a colleague of mine who was known to be the valedictorian at our university and one of the smartest people in my opinion. She still is very smart. And she came out of class crying when she realized that she had gotten an A- on her history exam. And I was baffled. I was shocked to see how someone could cry. The thing is, I got a B- on that exam. Not that it's something to be proud of, but you shouldn't always beat yourself up every time you get a so-called bad grade, because in the end, once you do graduate, no one really looks at your grades when you're looking to find a job. No one really cares. People will mostly focus not on your grades, not even your experience at university. What they will focus on though is your attitude. How do you socialize with other people? Can you get along with others? Are you respectful? Do you have an inclination to actually want to learn as opposed to just executing a task? And how will you add value to the team? And are you willing to learn, to progress, so you can make bigger contributions to the company and help your colleagues? If you recall, in the beginning of the video, I said that there are people studying far more than I did who would get lower grades than me. How did I get higher grades than those people? Well, to begin with, I studied international politics. So in a liberal arts degree, you have to complete a lot of readings and often come prepared to class having read everything. We're talking entire books over a weekend or 100+ pages. Be ready to discuss them, to critique, to debate also with your classmates, to voice your opinion, to create historical connections and so on. So instead of me reading the entire book, what I would do, I would go online, I'd find a review of the book, or actually I'd find 5 reviews of the same book, and come prepared to class having read all that, having read the criticism, the analysis, historical context of people far smarter than I was. And the professors were baffled in class when I'd be able to debate different points, while those who had read the entirety of the book didn't really have that much to contribute to in class. I mean, they understood the idea of the book, but not how it fit into the general class. So this is something that helped me a lot. It saved me a lot of time, and it allowed me to focus on things that actually interested me, which is making money on a side job that I had during university. In my case, I had 3 jobs at one point at the same time. And one other thing that I did is I would complete all my studies and assignments and readings over the weekend, freeing my week ahead with time to just go to classes and go to my job and make money, go to the gym, socialize and have fun with friends, and other things that I really enjoyed doing. So I'd complete all of my studies just on the weekend. Now, one thing that I'd just like to say is that there are no shortcuts in life. Now, this might seem like a shortcut because it's a liberal arts degree, right? And it's just a faster way of retaining and learning information. But if you're a doctor, if you're an engineer, there really is no shortcut. You have to know everything precisely, accurately, and particularly because with your careers in the future, you have human life and you're holding human life right between your hands. And you're responsible for society, for people's safety. So if you're studying life sciences, you cannot afford to take the shortcuts that I took or any other person who's studying in the liberal arts field can. Just thought I'd put it out there. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. And the other thing is, every single class has a process. The process often being completing the readings, finding ways to read them more efficiently, going to meet your professor outside of office hours, establishing a good relationship with them, asking questions, asking how you can improve your performance in class, and telling them from the beginning of the term that you're aiming for an A in their class, that you really appreciate their support and help, and how they can help you identify areas of improvement and what you can work on. The other point I'd like to make is that grades do not matter as much as you think. Like I said, there were far smarter people than me in university, at least academically. And while they were very impressive academically, they got the top grades, they had a lot of information. Oftentimes, because of all the time they spent studying, they didn't actually have time to socialize or develop their social skills. And that's actually one of the main things that you need as a fresh graduate or any career-oriented person in the future. You need to be able to talk to people. If you're constantly spending your time studying, then you don't always have time to develop the skills that you need to succeed in the future. And one thing that I did realize after graduating was that all those people who I thought were better than me, at least academically at the time, they struggled very hard to find a job. Whereas I had found a job in a much shorter time frame than they did. Even now, it's been 6-7 years since I graduated. Without trying to offend anyone, it seems like the point I've reached in my career is far more developed than the point that they've reached in their career. Even though we went to the same university, and I guess they had a head start compared to me as well. Because they went to a good school, they had good grades. I didn't have that. I got okay grades, and in the end I made it to the dean's list at my university, but I realized that grades don't mean anything. One more thing I would add is that you need to think long term when it comes to your friendships at university. So there will come a time where you might disagree with someone in class, especially if you're in liberal arts. And one thing I saw at my university is that people would take others' opinions so personally to the point that they would just stop talking to the other person or argue with them. Whereas for me, I always took the chance to engage other people, listen to their perspective, and try to see what I could learn from it. Maybe my information is lacking. Maybe they know better than me. Maybe they can show me a different perspective or way of looking at things. What can you learn from these people? Always engage with people who have different opinions than you. Always have friends who are different than you, because they'll enrich your life experience and your understanding of the world. And one thing is, you will see that when you do graduate, you don't know who might give you a chance or opportunity to work with in the future, who can open a lot of doors for you. So make sure you maintain good long-term relationships at the university and be respectful. And the last thing, focus on your own self-growth instead of trying to be popular. We all fall into this trap of trying to be popular and liked by other people, and in the end we end up not just not being liked by them, but we end up not liking ourselves. And here's the thing, all those people you're trying to impress right now at the university who are so popular and cool, or at least they think they are, or even you might think they are, you'll see them once you graduate. Most of those people, especially if you follow the advice I'm giving you to become a better version of yourself, they're gonna stand in line trying to be your friend, trying to hang out, which is exactly what happened with me. I wasn't so popular in university. I had so many friends and everything, but it's interesting how girls who rejected me, for example, or friends or guys who thought they were too cool to hang out with me or too important, now they're actively trying to seek my advice, my guidance, trying to hit me up and see how I am, trying to ask me if I can help them find a job and so on. So your past does not equal your future, especially at university. They don't have to be like the highlight or the peak of your life. Like life outside of university can also be amazing, if not better. Those are my tips. Those are the things I do differently. If I could go back to university, I hope they help you make the best of your own university experience. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and send this video to anyone else of your classmates who's also going through the amazing university experience that you're having right now. Thank you for watching. This is Sami signing off.